A very humid tropical day that has produced showers and thunderstorms and heavy downpours and some local flash flooding. Although it wasn't uniform, not everybody got it, but those who did got it hard. And we're headed into some hot weather over the next several days. We'll have all that and more on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather
Joe and
Show.
Joe Weather Show.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's good to see that you're still with us after spending the last few days alone.
It's not
Alone.
so bad.
Did you order
My
out? Did
last
you
night,
did you
my
DoorDash
la-
it? What'd you do? Did you
no,
Grubhub it?
no, I haven't done anything to that nature. There was some food in the refrigerator, so I just threw stuff together. And actually, there was a chicken leg that wifey left for me. So
Well,
I I managed, and
how generous was that supposed to last all 3 days or?
no, but that was today. That was this evening's dinner, and my sister and my mom. I had visited them on Saturday, and they ordered out, and pasta and meatballs and sausage and everything. So, needless to say, I have been well taken care of. I
Good.
still can go out. I could still go out, let's say tomorrow midday, but I don't think so.
Oh,
Not. It's going
very.
to be too hot tomorrow.
Yeah, agreed.
So
All right, very good. First off, I just want to say today's the 18th of July, which is the return of Briller Jeopardy tonight. Although Scott is out on a doing some COVID stuff today. Excuse me, I got something in my eye. He's out doing some COVID stuff that's got to take care of. So we want to give a big hello to Mother Briller, who I'm sure is watching the show as we speak. We hope you are doing well, and maybe Scott will pop on at some point later on. We shall see. But I got all the questions for tonight. I just had I had a thunderstorm go by an hour ago, Joe. It was pitch black here. I mean, pitch black, total darkness. Um,
wow,
that's how. And yesterday had some really loud thunder, and there was a thunderstorm nearby, some very loud thunder. But I never got it. It circumvented me and went to another part of town because one of my friends who lives on the other side of town, he got clobbered with heavy rain for about 20 minutes. But I just heard the thunder, and I even had sunshine while that was going on, which was uh, interesting enough. And what else is going on? Oh, I'm out. I got my foot back. So
that's right.
yes, I got my foot
The
back.
screw came. The
Uh,
screw came out.
the screw came out, and in fact, I don't know. Hang on one second. Hold on. put it in the drawer. Here it is.
We gonna see the screw now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So just to show you, it's a titanium hex bolt. Okay, which you could probably buy at Home Depot for about 5 cents. But it's a surgical screw. See it there, okay? And it came with a washer also. And this is what they put in my leg to hold the tendons and the ligaments to the bone. And I have to tell you, I was able to walk on it right away, and I'm a little sore, but I'm not going to need any therapy out of this, which is really good. I'm a happy camper from that respect.
They of course had to wipe the blood and the tissue off of it before they gave it to you, right?
Yeah, no, I did get it. Yes, I did get it clean, of course, in this beautiful
Hmm.
blue container. But I imagine this screw probably cost like $10,000, even though it maybe only costs about 10 cents to make. But
Right.
there you have it. We've got some early super chat hits tonight, which is nice. We've got Robert Russo hitting super chat and David Fuller hitting super chat. He's still sitting there waiting for severe weather in Middletown, New Jersey. David just wants uh, severe thunderstorms. He wants high humidity and he wants heat because the ocean is too cold, according to him. So he's going to get the heat the next,
Wait a minute.
at least for the next 3 days. Yeah, no, he's one of these. He likes he's one of the there's a small minority that really likes the
I
heat and humidity and the thunderstorms. He's part of that
I
group.
saw I saw something on CBS 2 this evening, Channel 2 out in New York, where some expert was saying that the waters are unusually warm, which is why so many sharks are coming up so close to the shoreline. And so now, who's saying that the waters are too cool? The ocean waters are too cool, Mr.
Uh,
Russo, or
where he no David Fuller, but it
David?
could be depending on where you measure it, because if you've got an offshore wind and you're at the you're the in the beaches, you're going to get upwelling. So the water could be cold right near the immediate beach, and then you go out a fair distance and out where the sharks are. Of course, I also read where the sharks are plentiful because of um, the bait fish are all over the place, and in southeastern New England, apparently it's being blamed by the fact that they used to cull the seals there, keep the seal population down. Well, they stopped doing that, and the sharks have figured it out. So now they're up there going after the seals. So it who knows what it is, um, the reason behind it. They're there, and there's a few of them. Um, it's not something I let's just say that it's something that some people may sit around and worry about. It's not on my list of things to worry about.
Yeah, well, and do you notice that on cable, the movie Jaws, which was made 45 years ago, whatever like that, there's an unusual proliferation of cable TV stations that have been running that in the last week or two, and
Mm,
pretty hard not to run across it. So
yeah.
I guess they're doing it in light of the all the shark sightings that have been made, both along Long Island shore areas, and I presume also maybe New Jersey as well. Well,
Well,
anyway, and I see the chairman is on the chat board.
yes, he has
Evening
joined
weather
us.
family back. Evening weather family back from the Road Driller Jeopardy tour. Went well. With had some trolls, which you always find on the road. We call hecklers, but COVID job calls. And he also hit super chat. So thanks so much for that. The chairman is back.
Hey, and yes, and as we said earlier, a big hello to Mother Briller, who is watching the show tonight. We wish her all the best. Let's um, let's get to it tonight because the radars are kind of busy, Mr. Rayo. So that's your Rayo on radars uh, tonight.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll bring up a radar for you to peruse. Let me just get my act together here. What am I looking for? Where
UCAR,
are you?
UCAR.
There we go. There we go. There we go. I'll hit that,
While
and
you're
I'll
getting
hit
your maps
this.
up, I just want to say this was one of those days where I oftentimes look at situations like this and you start to wonder whether when you get the showers and thunderstorms in the late night and early morning hours as the warm front is going by, oftentimes that can stabilize the atmosphere behind it and you don't get the daytime heating. This was one of those instances where you could see from the get-go that this was not going to work out the same way, uh, given how quickly clouds broke up just south of the warm front this morning. And right on the edge of that, some places got pounded with flooding rains. And there are places tonight that today and tonight that didn't get much of anything. So that's just as always, that's the nature of all of this. Is sometimes you get them and sometimes you don't. So Rayo on radar as he's got the loop going. Oh, I'm impressed. So take it away, Mr. Rayo.
Well, we had some very heavy thunderstorms, not so much so in terms of wind or hail, but some very heavy rainfall accompanying some of these thunderstorms that moved across Westchester County for the most part and have now pretty well have dissipated. I mean, they're still around into Connecticut, but they're nowhere near the potency that they had just a few hours ago. And I'm looking around to see what else might be headed our way, maybe from New Jersey. And well, I mean, let's we can always check out the Philadelphia radar. You can see that there's some activity moving through northern Delaware to just to the vicinity of Philadelphia and Wilmington, Delaware. Not much to say about those. I mean, it is showery rains, but again, it also is diminishing somewhat. Here's this line here that you see in northeast Pennsylvania. That might be the grand finale for tonight. It looks like it is moving on a course that could possibly take it into western sections of New Jersey, northwest New Jersey, and maybe if it holds together, may even have an impact on the Hudson Valley, like people like myself. But we'll have to see how that all uh, pans out. We are now heading towards sunset, and with the diurnal cooling, this line may actually diminish some in the next few hours. But we'll keep an eye on it for you. Elsewhere, I'm trying to see. Oh, I know there was a very active spot in Montana, and this is yeah. So you can see Montana has its own fair share of active weather. This is in the northeastern corridor, and it looks like a line actually developed in northeastern Montana, and that will be sweeping through probably up into perhaps adjacent Manitoba, Canada, in the hours to come. But let's see, anywhere else that we could look at. Let's check out Boston. Go to the box, so to speak. Lots of precipitation up across northern sections of New England. Boston not necessarily in it. In fact, it's like it's in a dry slot right now. But if we look up into Maine, let's go up into Maine. Let's check Portland radar. Yeah, that's where the activity is really occurring now in northern New Hampshire and across central and southern Maine. Looks like some heavy downpours and maybe some rumbles of thunder up there as well. What I would say, Joe, is that um, after we have a watch that's in effect for portions of New York State,
No, it goes all the way
and
down. It's
also
a big watch area they put up from West Virginia and Northern Virginia all the way up to into the Middle Hudson Valley and into Western Connecticut. And it covers a fury. It was a large watch box for them to do.
But it looks like now that assuming that the activity is going to be diminishing some in the next few hours, the watch is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. I think probably it will uh, end at 10 o'clock, maybe even end earlier for some places. But after 10 o'clock tonight, most of the activity will be behind us. And then we settle into a long stretch of what it appears to be a protracted spell of heat and humidity, which takes us right on through tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and right on into the upcoming weekend as well.
Yeah,
We may not have.
I've been sort of fighting. I've been sort of fighting this. That's sort of fighting. I have been fighting against this long duration um, heat wave idea, uh, but I had to throw in the towel over the weekend. One of the things that's interesting about it, though, is the fact that that northwest flow from Canada is still there, and you are getting, as we are today, we're getting these quote unquote cold fronts, which actually are not really cold fronts. They're sort of weak dew point fronts. So the dew points may actually drop a little bit tomorrow. Not that they'll drop to anything resembling comfortable, but they'll be a little bit lower than today, only to go up again Wednesday and Thursday. And then they're going to drop again Friday by a little bit into early Saturday before they go up. And then there's another dew point front coming through on Sunday, where the dew point might wind up dropping a bit more behind that one. But there's no there's no cool air mass. These are hot air. It's hot air in between all of this. So the temperatures really can't go down. It's odd
Right.
to call them cold fronts. So
Well, for example, another thing that's happening now, unlike what we had in May and June and through the first half of July, by Wednesday, we're going to have a pretty good upper low that'll be crossing through the western Great Lakes. And in May and June, we were accustomed to seeing something like that, dig, so to speak,
right.
diffluent trough, which would dig in, move into the northeastern United States and pull down some cool air from Canada. But this one coming our way on Wednesday looks like it's going to shear off to the north. And so while it may, as you just said, not necessarily turn cooler, but less humid, a little bit drier for later in the week, it does not really turn cool.
No.
We still continue to be in the 90 plus range on Thursday and into Friday as well. So there you go. Now, that front on Thursday may trigger a few hit or miss thunderstorms. It doesn't look like anything organized. And then after that, it'll just dry out for Friday and continue dry right on into the upcoming weekend with maybe a pop up storm here and there by maybe late Saturday, late Sunday, late Monday, but nothing really organized, nothing that we will be able to hang our hat on for any kind of significant precipitation or any kind of significant cooling in the days to come. In fact, a kind of a miniature heat ridge, if you will appears to be on its way to trying to blow up along the mid-Atlantic and northeastern United States coasts by about this time next week. So the heat looks like it's going to be with us now for a while.
Yep, got the satellite up, and you can see the system in the east and the trailing frontal boundary that extends south from western New York and western PA down into West Virginia with showers and storms. Actually, those storms line up all the way down to southeast Louisiana as that area slides to the east, and also getting a little bit of action along the Carolina coastline. Both Carolina coastlines seeing some clusters of thunderstorms and showers moving northeastward, and it's a little more extensive over the state of Florida. You can see a nice swirl there up in Montana, which you mentioned about the storms up in Montana. That's where the Storm Prediction
Right.
Center's got some risk going on. But in between those two, much of what's over the Midwest and down into Texas, I mean, that's all very warm to hot air. And here's the wide radar view that Joe just took you on the local radars. You can see what I'm dealing with. I just had the southern end of these showers and thunderstorms me in northeast Georgia. And then there's a bit of a break, and then there's showers and storms down into Alabama. Also in western Virginia, along I-81 to the Carolina border, we're seeing some showers and thunderstorms there. The clusters in the along the Carolinas aren't really showing up very well on the radar at all. And of course, you could see the rather busy northeast down into Maryland and Delaware, and still a couple of severe thunderstorms in parts of eastern Maryland that probably that last warning is going to die out soon enough. Storm Prediction Center, this severe thunderstorm watch that is up from northern Virginia and northeastern West Virginia and western Maryland to western Connecticut and southern New York. That's going to get slowly but surely going to be getting whittled down as time goes on and these storms continue to shift eastward. The remaining risk, you take a look at that really quick here. The remaining risk is slight to enhance from the northeastern Montana, all right along the border there with North Dakota, Minnesota into the Western Lakes. And then, of course, you see the action that's going on in the east and they even have that small area of enhanced risk indicated up in northernmost North Dakota and northeasternmost Montana. Tomorrow, slight risk in the Western Lakes up through Minnesota. A small area of marginal risk in southeast Colorado. Area of marginal risk from northeasternmost New York, northernmost Vermont and New Hampshire, and western Maine. A marginal risk of severe weather for tomorrow. And then for Wednesday into Thursday, we're seeing marginal to slight risk from western New York down into Kentucky and back through western Ohio and into southern Indiana. And Thursday, I'm thinking they may still wind up with a marginal risk on Thursday, Joe. That could probably maybe indicate that there's a possibility of some scattered thunderstorms, as you mentioned. Maybe one or two of them approach severe levels. We'll see. In the meantime, WPC's rainfall amounts, it's pretty scant here, except for Maine, where we've got up to a couple of inches in the next week. But most of the East is basically, it's all convective stuff. and in the Southwest, it's all monsoonal stuff, and everywhere else really not showing much of anything as far as rainfall is concerned.
Well, we certainly could use that rainfall today, although it was excessive in portions of New Jersey, around the Paterson, New Jersey area. I saw on one of the local newscasts that the water was up to the quarter panels on one car on one roadway out there. We picked up here in Putnam Valley about 6/10 of an inch of rain, and it did come down hard for a while. All I can say is that my grass, everybody's lawn in my vicinity, desperately needed it because the lawns were all turning brown in many spots. And one day's rain is not going to really alleviate anything, but it does help to a small degree. And also, it helped. I've been watering my wife's tomato plants and pepper plants every day. I did not have to do that today in light of all the wet weather that came our way during the day. So tomorrow it's back to the same old story of heat and humidity. And as you mentioned, Joe, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm here and there on Thursday, which could be localized and could be heavy. And then behind that, the only thing that we can look forward to is a bit of a dip or a dent in the dew point temperatures, making it a little bit drier and slightly more comfortable. But it looks like we're looking at temperatures on a daily basis now of 90 to maybe 95 degrees. So it is going to be hot out there.
Chuck Cardillo, a super chat hit tonight, and because he saw my pictures of what I cooked yesterday, he's calling me chef meteorologist Joe Chaffee. I will accept that title readily. Thank you, Chuck. And we also have a super chat hit from Ken Musillo, hitting super chat. Thank you, Ken. Dreaming of man does not like heat, but he's dreaming of snow. And
Yeah.
when you feel too hot, just go look at a snow video on YouTube from a snowstorm back in wherever you want to look for it. And maybe you could use that to cool you off, which should be cheaper than maybe running your air conditioning during these peak times and these expensive times that we live in, because
Well, my wife,
they're gonna work overtime.
as you mentioned, my wife and my daughter are now down in Orlando. They will be coming back late tomorrow, but during the days, at least during the opening days, Friday and Saturday, I actually, Joe, had no air conditioning. I turned off the air conditioning. I said, there's no need for me to subsidize NYSEG with any more extra money. And I kept it off as long as I possibly could. And it wasn't really so much the heat, but the humidity that really did it. And finally, like midday yesterday, I said, that's it. I've had it. And I turned the air conditioning back on. And it looks like it's going to be staying on right on through this upcoming week. One good thing about it is that with my air conditioning, it'll go on and off. So
Oh,
it's not constantly on. It goes off for a while, and then it comes back on again. But at least I was able to give it a bit of a break for a couple of days, Friday and Saturday, before I finally said, "That's it. I'm throwing the towel in," and turned it back on again yesterday.
well, you got it on a thermostat. That's good. That's a good thing. Mine is set to 72. I don't touch it. It stays that way. It will stay set to 72 through October, and when it's time to switch it over to the heat, I'll switch it over to the heat. And actually, with all the trees I have around me, the air conditioning doesn't come on very often. So it just keeps it there at 72. My house is very well. They build these houses down here to really retain the heat and the cool, so it's pretty efficient. I have to say, and I know I see it in my electric bills, which are generally under $75 a month. So I'm a happy camper from that respect. All right, let's just looking at the long range pattern. I know, Joe. You hear $75 a month for electricity, and it does, you know, kind of make your blood curdle, considering how expensive it can be up your way, especially if nat gas is part of your electrical generation. But you're right. When you look at the upper pattern, it isn't so much that the actual pattern has changed very much, because it really hasn't. It's just that these Canadian systems now are not digging as far south. as what we saw back in June and in the first part of July. There is one that tries to dig at the end of this week, and you see it there with the double lows in the upper atmosphere. There's one that's sitting near Toronto. There's another one that's near Lake Winnipeg. And the thing is, just as it's about to move in, it just sort of weakens and lifts up and out. So it's a short-lived shot of just drier air. And then again, if you follow the flow, the coolest air stays well to the north. The flow in the northeast for Friday and Saturday is actually coming from the Dakotas across the lower lakes into the mid-Atlantic states. So that's not an especially cool flow considering how hot it is up there now. So you're basically taking their air and moving it here. But when we go through the next 16 days, there's a flattish ridge in the lower Tennessee Valley, and we're sort of on the edge of this next week. And yeah, it's kind of preventing the northern part of the jet from digging far enough south to cool things off. And now we're on the last day of the long range. It's August the 3rd. So we'll have to see how this all plays out, obviously. But the upper air is kind of it's the same. The pattern's the same. Just kind of shift everything up a little bit further to the north. That's really the best way to summarize this. And until those systems in the north start to dig down again, it's going to be hard to bring in cooler air masses into the eastern part of the United States.
Right, and this pattern could very well be with us through the end of the month and right on into the first part of August. So um, let's face it. However, we're talking about heat and humidity, and it is very hot, triple-digit temperatures over the central and south central United States. But as hot as it is here on this side of the Atlantic, Joe, a lot of the news agencies, news media, making much ado about what is happening to the folks who live in Europe,
Yes.
facing all-time record temperatures with readings in London, for example, approaching 100 degrees. That's Fahrenheit. They use the Celsius scale over there,
Yeah, it's going to
and
40.
I do believe it's going to be. I was going to say approaching 40, but
40.
yeah, it's about as hot or the hottest that they've ever seen in that part of Europe, and looks like that's going to be the story for the next few days to come, at least.
Yeah, and they don't do air conditioning there as it's like the Pacific Northwest. Very, people don't have air conditioning because hot weather is not common. So when it does happen, you just sort of grin and bear it. I brought up the 2 meter temperature map, but we can take a look at Europe in just a moment. But I just want to take a look at what's going on, at least today and beyond. We had 100-degree readings pushed all the way up into the Dakotas. I'm using the GFS here as a model for where we're going forward. And here are the high temperatures, the higher temperatures as of the GFS forecast for 8 o'clock this evening, with temperatures still over 100 all the way up into North Dakota, and of course, widespread 100-degree temperatures in Texas. Tomorrow, there's a little bit of cooling in North Dakota, but you get down into Kansas, you get down into Oklahoma. You're looking at some places 105 to 110. Then on Wednesday, anywhere from 100 to 109. There's a 109 print in southeastern Oklahoma. I don't know what that point is supposed to be specifically, but as we move on, the core of this heat ridge that's out there is good. We're not really going to get into that core heat. Okay, we're kind of just getting a little bit of a breakaway here that's come in. But I'm moving through next week. 100 plus pretty much continues in the plains into next Saturday. Readings at 105, 110 in some places. And, here's next Monday, the 25th of July. And you see the widespread 100-degree readings even into the middle Mississippi Valley at that point, and into Arkansas. And Jesus, it just goes on and on there. And toward the end of the month, they're starting to see some 100-degree readings in parts of southern Virginia, North Carolina, and back into Georgia. We'll see if that materializes, but It's there on the maps. And let's look at Europe here. And I got an interesting topic I want to bring up with you after this is done, after I'm done with these maps. But if you take a look at Europe, and we'll start with, so the 18Z is 6 o'clock in the evening. So today you're looking in that, those pink areas and the light pink areas. Those are all in the upper 30s to around 40 as far as temperatures. They're not the highs of the day because the highs would occur maybe around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. But you see how as we go through Wednesday, the heat starts to relax a little bit. Tomorrow's going to be a hot day in England, no question, with temperatures up over probably near 40 in a lot of spots. The I'm looking in Ireland, by the way. It's only in the mid 20s, in the low and mid 20s there for Celsius for highs. So everybody's got to head over there, head over to Ireland to cool
Right.
off and spend your money. The heat is everywhere on Tuesday. And Wednesday, you start to see a little bit cooling, except for eastern France and points east and south. Germany is well up into the 30s. England's a little cooler, and then we go to Thursday, and the heat spreads through over Italy, back down to Greece, and the countries in like Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, uh, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Austria. That holds on through Friday. Some reason I can't load beyond that. So now it's at
It's
9.
impressive also. What's impressive to me is the water temperatures. The Mediterranean, for example, I'm looking at temperatures that, from my vantage point, Joe, look like they're at least 25 and 26 degrees. We're talking like 80-degree temperature. The Mediterranean is like bathtub water right now.
Well, we've seen,
Uh,
the last, there's been a couple of what they call medicanes, which are
yeah.
what look like tropical systems that develop in the Mediterranean Sea. They're usually pretty small, but we've seen that happen a couple of times in the last 3 or 4 years. So, the warmer water temperature is certainly going to be playing a factor in that. I'm looking at next week and beyond in Europe. Boy, this heat does not. It comes back. Not so much in England, but on the continent, as they say,
Well,
it comes back.
my son and daughter-in-law will be going on a cruise. They're leaving JFK. I'm driving them to JFK on Wednesday, and they're going to spend, I think, 10 days in Europe. They're coming back like around the 3rd or 4th of August. But my goodness, what a at least I hope it's cooler on the cruise ship
Oh, I would
because
imagine it's got to be.
my goodness, but I don't know how many land trips they have on their schedule, but my goodness, if they what a time for them to visit Europe with the temperatures again reaching extremes that they've rarely ever seen in the old world, so to speak. My goodness, you
Yeah,
look at these temperatures.
I got to talk to somebody who understands, how things work over there in the upper. I mean, because you look at the upper atmosphere, and everything is pretty progressive. I mean, things just move along. I mean, you got a strong ridge that builds that's there now to start the week off, but then it disappears, and there's some kind of upper low that comes in off the Atlantic. But judging from what the temperatures were showing, it really didn't do very much in terms of lowering them. And then there's a stronger trough down the road. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I could understand if there was a big upper high sitting covering most of Europe, but it's not really quite like that. Uh, Again,
Right.
this is because we don't really, I mean, I don't have a full understanding of how the atmosphere works there. Okay, because this is not, something that we pay close attention to. Uh, to be honest, we probably pay only slight attention to, especially when it comes into the news. But I want to bring this up because I want to get your feeling about this. So on Twitter, let me see if I can find a guy's name or the I should say the person's name because I really don't know if the person who has this site is either that does this is a male or a female. So let's call it the person's. Um,
The person of interest.
yes. So it's called. Where is it? Um, Wait, hang on. I'm trying to find it. Thought I had it on my notifications to get, when this guy posts. I guess I don't. See this if this is this. Let's see. No, that's Axios. Anyway, I'm sorry, I can't seem to find the person, but when I do see his next tweet or her next tweet, I will give them credit for this because I thought it was it brings up a very interesting conversation. And basically, what he does is that he looks for things that are done by the media, and calls them out on stuff when it's wrong or a little odd. And he put up something, Joe, where the if you go back and look at TV, he apparently he had shots of TV weather people with their forecasts, and he went back 10 years, 20 years for the same time, kind of trying to compare apples to apples. So he would look at, say, a high temperature for a high temperature forecast for uh, say mid-July with highs that were going to be in the mid 30s, and the high temperature map was shaded in yellow. Okay,
Right.
now the same map for roughly the same time of year is shaded in dark red. And he was wondering whether there's this sort of, if there's some kind of sort of psychological manipulation that's going on with regards to doing that. And I started to think about it, and I said, you know what? I perhaps he's got a point. I mean, when I say manipulation, I'm not saying that the weather people are manipulating, uh, or any kind of political organization is manipulating, but uh, perhaps the people who make the news decisions might be saying, you know what, we need that graphic to be more dramatic. So if it's going to be in the 90s, let's make it really, really, red as we can. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe you might think differently about this, but I just kind of was.
No,
I thought there was I think there was some merit to what he said, what he was trying to say.
I would agree that that sounds like something that the behind the scenes people, the corporate suits, would decide upon. And all I can tell you is, and this now is going back 30 years, but when I was doing the weather at 1010 Winds for a couple of years, the news director, the executive producer, they had a big meeting, and they're looking at me and they're saying, you know, we get ratings. Everybody in the world listens to us when the weather is bad. So we need bad weather. In other words, implying that I had a power to make it bad or to make the weather bad. If and this is on radio now. I would assume that on television it's the same thing. If you can find a way to make a graphic that implies bad weather or stormy weather, they'll do it. If for nothing else, to grab the the person's attention. At News 12 Westchester, when they redid the weather center, right behind me was this big sign that said News 12 Storm Center. And
Right.
I brought up the point. I said, excuse me, but stormy weather usually prevails, maybe one time out of five. 20% of the time, we will have legitimate, downright stormy weather. I said, but what happens when it's nice? I said, I'm telling everybody how beautiful the weather is, sunny skies, low humidity, and I've got this thing behind me. storm center. And I vehemently disagreed with the term. And I even asked him, I said, you think maybe you can move this so you're not, what are you, crazy? What are you, nuts? So yeah, I would not doubt for a minute that any news organization, any media organization, if they can find a way to get people excited, concerned, even scare them with the minute chance of a major storm or a major snowfall or whatever, they'll do it. They will do it, and that's unfortunately the world that we live in today.
And I'll tell you another thing, and I saw this. This it just reminded me about this. I saw it over the weekend. Now, I know I'm not trying to poke fun at you, but I know you're not on your phone very much. But I was sometimes if I'm on my phone and I need to look up something, and I'll pull up Google on Google Chrome, and when you do that, it also when it brings up the search box, it also has Google has all these stories that follow that may or may not, be in. Oh, here it is. Bad weather takes. Bad weather takes is uh, the Twitter site. Okay, and I got to make sure my notifications are turned on for this guy because I like his stuff. So anyhow, uh, he uh, he pointed this out, and I actually saw this ahead of time. There was their lead article late last week was uh, something to the effect of that the not one, not two, not three, Joe, but four tropical waves were being watched by the National Hurricane Center. So I immediately went over to the Hurricane Center's website to see, so like, did I miss something here? And I looked and I saw that on their 2-day forecast, they had, tropical storm development is not expected next 48 hours. And on their 5-day forecast, the same thing. So I was like, what are they talking about? I looked at the satellite. The tropics were as dead as they could be, with between the Saharan dust and the very weak uh, intertropical convergence zone, and they basically made it up. They made it up. They said the Hurricane Center is watching four tropical waves, but with a little sort of addendum saying, but it um, uh, none of them are expected to develop at this time. But they wrote the article in such a way that as you're reading it, if you're a reader, you're reading this and thinking, oh my God, one of these is going to become, a Category 5 hurricane down the road. And then I saw another
Yeah.
thing today talking about the fact that um, the Atlantic has been quiet, but it's going to, after this week, activity is going to suddenly rev up in a big way. And talking about the upper air, there's shear, and it's all going to disappear. We're already seeing signs of that happening in the long range, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm thinking, okay, well, look, I'm the first one to admit if stuff pops up, some homegrown system pops up that they decide to make a tropical depression or a tropical storm, I have no control over that. But I'm thinking in my own mind, it's hard for me to fathom how it's suddenly going to get active here within the span of a week, considering how the upper air is. But again, the article was written and then talking about the Pacific, that the Pacific is wild. Oh my God, the activity in the Eastern Pacific, they're up to the east storm. It's mid-July. They're up to the east storm. Why don't you just go back and look at some of the seasons where they've gotten to the east storm by the first week of June, for God's sake? And then something to the effect of that the Eastern Pacific usually doesn't get its third Category 3 hurricane until September on average. And this is Estelle. It could be the third Category 3 hurricane. Who cares? That's out in the Pacific. First of all, who cares? 99% of those storms don't ever even hit land. Okay? They form, they strengthen, and they die. But, I mean, it was just such a stretch to write a piece like that, and it's written solely, as you and I both know, it's like It's written solely to get clicks. I guess got really annoyed because I'm seeing it as much as I used to see it before. I'm seeing it more and more and more to the point where you're just kind of inundated by that, and I'm getting more and more annoyed by it too. By the way, I put that Twitter bad weather take. I put the link there for those of you who are interested and might want to follow along on what he's got, what he does. Uh, let's see. Looks like it was the weather known as thermal. Also told that the circles could. I'm just reading one of his, uh, one of his quotes. One of the things that he's called attention to. I mean, some of this stuff, it's just like you read it and you just absolutely um, shake your head. It says, can we talk about this new PSYOP? I'm not sure. PSYOP? That's right. The heat wave, quote unquote, meant to be 32 where I am. Says so on my phone and BBC Weather. Let me report it is not. Actually, it's 27. Same yesterday. Meant to be 28, was 23. Let's expose this latest scam and psst, it's summer. That's what this one person says. These are some other people's tweets that he's putting up. Uh, but anyway, it's very interesting. I like seeing the stuff that he puts up and calls people to task for when appropriate.
I'm looking at some of the stuff he's got posted here. Weird circles in the sky spotted by G2C listener Wayne in Gallatin, Tennessee. As to what may have caused them, a local meteorologist told Wayne it was likely the result of a weather phenomenon known as thermal inversion. It looks to me like the eyes of some kind of an alien staring down
Yeah.
at you, though. Really weird.
A thermal inversion
There's,
or weather modification.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
God, I know it's let's see. I'm just seeing there's some stuff on somebody put something. He put some stuff up about somebody's post about chemtrails, uh, a few other things. But anyway, I just thought it was I thought it was a good read. I get a good laugh out of some of the posts that he'd had. And by the way, Leon Probitsky hitting super chat tonight. Thank you very much, Leon. Most appreciated. So anyway, it's nice to see we got Briller Jeopardy tonight. I don't want to forget that.
yes, and I suppose I'm going to be the one who is fielding the question. By the way, I don't know how many of you had a chance to see Jeopardy tonight. Something very unusual, very rare happened, which doesn't happen too often in the new version
A
or the
tie?
version a tie. Yes, a tie. All three of them got the correct question. One, the champion, the defending champion, lost out to the two other opponents by $1, and the two opponents ended up tied. And anyway, it
So
was interesting
on
to
the old
watch
Jeopardy,
to
if it
see.
was a tie, they would both come back.
Co-champions,
Yeah.
co-champions. That's right.
So what do they do on the new Jeopardy? They both come back?
They have a tiebreaker. They
Oh,
ask a tie-breaking question,
oh,
and the
that's
first person to ring in will and get the answer correct will be the new champion. And there you go.
no. They should bring them both back. As hard as that is to win, um, if you're tied with somebody, they should do it like they used to bring them both back. Oh well, I don't watch Jeopardy I haven't watched Jeopardy in a long time. Anyway, here we go with Briller Jeopardy, and the category tonight we're going to do is New York City Central Park records for within 3 for credit. The highest temperature ever recorded in the month of August.
Hmm. Hmm.
La la la.
Hmm. All right. And that the highest ever in August at Central Park.
Yes.
Well, I know they must have hit 100 at least once. So I'll say 101.
104 on August 7th, 1918.
Wow.
What was the
And
lowest? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there was no air conditioning back then, was there?
No, there certainly wasn't. What was the lowest temperature in August at Central Park?
Uh, it would have to be at the end of the month. And I will say, I remember one particular day, like on August 31st, 1976, where it got down to something like 50 or 51. I'll say 51.
50. And by the way, it's happened 5 times. The last time was 1986. So it could have happened in 1976 as one of those 5 times. In fact,
Right.
I can support your idea of 1976 because I have a memory of it getting very cool very early, and that led into uh, the winter of 76, 77, which we know how cold it was in December and January during that stretch. But we had uh, lot of early cool air masses that came down that sort of set the table for that particular year. What was the coldest maximum? The coldest maximum daytime temperature in the month of August.
I will say 62.
59 in August 21st, 2007. 59.
Wow.
Now, the record for the most rain for the month of August is also the most rain to ever fall in any month at Central Park. It happened in the last 15 years. Can you guess the year and how much rain?
Didn't we just have this last year with Ida?
Well,
Maybe
Ida was, I think, more in September. Was it Ida in September?
September. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Um,
It,
so let me just see. A
September.
third of that monthly rainfall, by the way, occurred in what tropical storm? So just a few facets in this question here. So I'll read it again. The record for the most rain for the month of August is also the most rain ever to fall in any month in New York City. It happened in the last 15 years. And how much? Not only does how much of that rainfall, how much rainfall was it, and a third of that monthly rainfall occurred in what tropical storm?
I'm thinking of my. It was 2011, and I have a feeling
Yes.
Irene.
Yes.
Irene must have had
Yes.
something to
Yes.
say about
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. And can you guess the amount of
I.
rainfall for the month?
How about 13.2 inches? I'm taking a
Right.
grabbing at
18.95.
18.9. And wasn't there another storm? But that I think carried over into September. There was Irene, and there was another tropical system that came maybe about a week later that
I
only
believe
added to the
I
aggravation.
believe so.
That Lee.
I don't remember. I
All
don't
right.
remember.
Well,
Here's a bonus
I can
question.
tell you what Irene. We didn't have the rain gauge, the Davis weather station set up yet. But I can tell you that my wife has like a pitcher that she uses for lemonade and iced tea, and she just stuck it outside on our back patio. And when she went to check it out, that was like late Saturday night, and I know Irene hit on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. She went back outside. The damn thing was overflowing, and that was like 11 inches right there. And we also had like a mini mudslide on the side of my house as well. So Irene really did a number, you know, on this local area in terms of heavy duty rainfall. Before Irene, the benchmark was and the benchmark that we held Irene up to was in 1999 September with Floyd. Floyd
Right.
was another heavy duty rainmaker. So they seem to come like once every 10 or 12 years we get these monstrous amounts of rain, which means I guess, oh no.
We're good for a
Well, we
while.
had we had Ida last year,
Yeah,
right?
so we're
So
good.
that
We're
was
good. We're good for a while.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So back in May, you and I were both asked how many 90-degree days we would see in New York City this summer. I said 25, and you said 21. Currently, New York City is at 7. So, do either of us want to revise our totals with 2 months left and the hottest part of the year still ahead of us? And the average, by the way, is
No,
15 days. Yeah, I don't.
right.
I'm okay with 25. I'm gonna stay with it.
I'm okay with my 21. I don't think I'll change that. Especially what's coming up over the next week. It's conceivable we could add 6 or 7 more at Central Park over the next week. So, and then we have August and even September, early September. So yeah, I feel good with 21.
Now, I just want to show you, by the way, what you missed that I made yesterday. But on my serving platter, which is, if you see that black spot there, is actually a bear. But this is what I made yesterday. This was in the air fryer. Well, the chicken. I made chicken drumsticks in the air fryer. What you see cut up here, these 4 slices, those are grilled cheeses for my grandsons. And I made homemade Italian bread and rolls. Uh, and there's more. Uh, Also, and I made 2 of these, Joe. This is a bone-in ribeye pork chop that was an inch and a half thick. And while I will admit that I slightly overcooked it, it even overcooked. I like my pork chops medium rare. Even overcooked, this was outstanding. So I just wanted to share with you. Um, by
Are
the
you
way,
doing this?
I had a clean,
Are you doing this to get me because you know that I don't have somebody here to make dinner for me? You're
no,
doing this to me right now.
no, I just happened to take those pictures yesterday, and I just happened to have them on like my computer, and you just happened to be here, so I figure, why don't I just happen to show them to you?
Why not?
Yeah. You could always steal them and show your wife and tell them this is what you made that you made this while you were away.
No, I was half thinking up in Fishkill they have a Boston market, and I was half thinking about ordering a full scale turkey dinner. Remember that Daffy Duck with the 2 guys that were in the blizzard? Turkey
Yes.
dinner, turkey dinner.
Yeah.
But I did not. I have not done that, and nor will I do that tomorrow. I may
Yeah.
come up with something, but it's not going to be a full scale turkey dinner. Uh,
So Tom Contino, yes, you can you can cook pork medium rare. Okay, the days of having to cook it to shoe leather are long gone. Now, if you're shooting wild pig or a boar, that's a different story. But if you're buying standard pork that's raised from standard pigs, you can cook pork medium rare and or 145. 145 degrees for the center temperature is sufficient. Uh, it just is.
I'm actually
It's
su- I'm actually surprised, by the way. I've been checking periodically the chat board. I'm surprised that my wife, who has her iPad with her, has not deigned to check in from down in the Sunshine State. I guess she's having much too much fun down in uh, down in Orlando at Disney World today to do that.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
just checking to see if she came on before the show started, and I'm just going back on the chat, and I do not see. Um, I don't see her there.
they went to
Um,
Disney World today. Said they saw the Magic Castle. I asked my daughter. I said, "Oh, when you went to the Magic Castle, did Mom go up to Mickey and say, 'Please straighten your tie out', or did she go into the Magic Castle and offer to clean up the floor?" You know, you know.
I don't pay. I am not going to a place where I'm going to pay $200 for somebody to smile at me.
I uh, I often say my wife is a hybrid. She's a cross between Martha Stewart and Felix Unger. So I guess tomorrow I'll be rapidly racing around the house trying to clean up maybe vacuum the rug or whatever. And she'll still come and say, "Why is this over here? What's that over there for?"
Well, you
It's
could.
been fun the last four
Well,
days.
if
She
she could.
actually was asking me, "Did you water my plants? Did you clean up? Did I?" And I said to each question, I said, "No, no, 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 I didn't. No." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because you're not here to badger me into doing it."
You know what?
They'll get done.
If she does come home, maybe she'll
They'll
complain.
get done, dear.
Yes.
Eventually, they'll get done,
All right.
but they ain't getting done now.
When you come home, maybe if you're lucky, she might ask you about the dust, and then you could say that that dust was a gift from Mr. and Mrs. W.C. Ridgway of Hollyhock, Virginia.
I caught something the other day um, in the downstairs where I am in the near the boiler area. There was I'm not sure if it was a wood spider or a mole cricket or maybe it was a cross between the two. This big thing, Joe, about this big, just and it doesn't crawl, it hops. So that's why I thought it was might have been a mole cricket. I caught it. I eventually caught it in the hand vac,
Hmm.
the one of these hand vacuum cleaners, and you could see through the window. This thing like unfurled itself and like doing twitching every which way. And I'm saying to myself, should I go in the yard and let this thing out now, or should I just leave it like this and wait until she comes home?
Oh, no, I hope you let it out. I
I did.
yeah.
I did.
I don't kill when I see spiders. I try to save them. I bring them outside. Um, I try not to put them too close to Cleopatra or Ophelia because then they might have it for lunch. But I don't like to I don't like spiders especially I don't like to kill because they're very good at eating all the other insects that you want to kill but can't have a tough time doing that because they're too fast. So um, I support keeping spiders alive. And on that note, let us now say goodbye. There will be tomorrow night's show is at 7:30, and
Correct.
Wednesday's night's show will be at 8 o'clock. Correct?
Correct.
And no Thursday show this week. So we'll be back tomorrow at 7:30, Wednesday at 8, and then we'll be off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So everybody have a
You
great
want to explain
evening.
why there's no Thursday show? I'm doing a library talk
Oh,
on Thursday, and the library talk is at 7:30. Was the best that I have to kowtow to the library. I mean, I can't say, can you move it because I have a Joe and Joe or like that. The library says, oh, we want to talk at all right. You want the talk at 7:30? 7:30. Talk is an hour, 15 minutes for a Q&A. That means that if we were to do a show on Thursday, it would be at 9 o'clock. And I know 9 o'clock on certain nights is past your bedtime. So
oh yeah.
I threw it out to you, and we just didn't want to do it, so we don't do it on Thursday.
Yeah, no, it's already past my bedtime now. So, and I'm
Oh, can I
exhausted.
mention one? I mention one last thing
Yeah,
before we
go
leave.
ahead.
I don't know how many of you people out there on the chat board are down and out honeymooner fans. Now, my wife Renata is one of the directors of the local German American Social Club here in Putnam Valley. The president of that club is a big fan of the honeymooners, and he knew I was a big fan. And he said, "What do you think about the opportunity to do a fundraiser with a honeymooner theme?" And I said, that's interesting. You'd have to make it interesting enough so that people will want to come to this. Late last night at 10 o'clock, he calls me and he says, one of my friends is Brian Carney, Art Carney's son.
Oh, wow.
And Brian Carney says that if we have a fundraiser, and it looks like it'll be in early November, if we have a fundraiser for the club in early November, Brian Carney, Art Carney's son, will be at this fundraiser. And even more interesting, Joe, is that Brian Carney has promised that when he comes, he's going to bring three things with him. He's going to bring one of the 6 Emmy Awards that he won for playing Ed Norton
Yes.
on The Honeymooners. Two, he's going to bring his Oscar,
Oscar, yeah, that he won
the
for
Oscar that he won for Harry and
Harry
Tonto,
and Tonto.
19, 1974. And third, he's bringing the hat. the Ed Norton hat that he
Hat.
wore through all of the inceptions of the honeymooners from the 1950s onward, the hat that he's had all of these years. That, of course, once Art Carney passed away in 2003, it became Brian Carney's hat. And Brian Carney, I said I said to the president, his name is Jerry Schrammick. I said, why doesn't he auction that off, or why
Or
doesn't he give
donate,
it to the Smithsonian?
or yeah, one of the TV museums.
Right. And the answer that came back was he likes to go to functions like the fundraiser. He likes to show it off, and he likes to give people a chance to actually put it on their heads and take a picture of it with the actual hat. So anyway,
That's very
that's
cool.
going to be in November. That's going to be in November, tentatively November the 12th is a Saturday. But if any of you out there are in the tri-state area, or even if you're not in the tri-state area and you're one of these big honeymooner fanatics, after all of these years, that show is still on the air here in New York on Pix 11 and also on MeTV and is syndicated all over the. If you're interested, it'll be in November. We're going to have it at the clubhouse, the Putnam Valley Clubhouse. By the way, Art Carney's son Brian doesn't live too far away from here. He lives in Golden's Bridge in northern Westchester,
Oh,
so
all right.
it's not like he has to travel halfway across the country to
No,
come.
it's
He
very
so he'll
close.
so he'll be there. He'll be there. He's going to bring all of that paraphernalia with him. And so, if you're interested, I'll keep everybody updated on that. So, if you want to come, and we don't even know how much the price will be, what kind of food we're going to have, music, door prizes, and everything else, and of course and one thing I can say that definitely we will show. I came across this about a week ago, Joe. It is one of the lost episodes of the Honeymooners before the classic 39 that were made in 1955, 56. The lost episodes that go back to when Jackie Gleason was on the Dumont Network on his variety show, The Cavalcade of Stars. They did an early Honeymooner skit, and it's called The Lost Baby.
Oh, I've
When
heard
when
about this.
when Ralph finds a baby in the back of the bus, and he brings it home, and he and Alice just fall head over heels in love with it. Sadly, at the end, they find the mother, and so they have to give them. But I'll tell you this: I watched that episode from start
It's
to
I've
finish.
seen it. It's a tearjerker.
It's well in the middle when they try to figure out a way to feed the baby, and Norton and Ralph pour milk into a glove, and they try to snip one of the fingertips off,
Yes.
and the whole glove explodes all over Jackie Gleason, especially. I mean, I fell off this chair.
All right.
I was rolling on it and laughing. 5 minutes later, I was crying because the end is indeed a tearjerker. We're definitely going to take that episode and show it at this
Yeah, they
not
called the
convention,
baby.
but
They called the baby Ralphina. If I remember.
I don't know. No, well, they don't do that.
No, they must have re. Okay,
I,
so they must have redid those episodes later on because
it's possible.
so K was it Kay Felton played Alice? I forgot who
Oh, you're
played it.
thinking, no, the original Alice,
Yeah,
Kurt Kelton.
Pert Kelton.
Kurt Kelton.
And in the one that I saw, they named the baby Ralphina, and then
Ralphina.
they had to give it they had to give it up at the end, and the closing scene is you know Audrey. I guess it was Audrey Hepburn. I mean Audrey Hepburn. I'm sorry.
Audrey
Audrey
Meadows.
Meadows. Uh, in absolute tears that she had to give up this baby. So they must have redid it.
Well, this episode, she goes down to the local deli to get pablum. When was the last time you heard that used in
Yeah,
current
it's been a long time.
lexicon?
Been a long
Pablum.
time. I
And
remember.
so she went down to get pablum for the baby, and then when she comes back with this big bag of stuff to feed the baby and to help the baby out, that's when the detective is already in the apartment saying that they have to bring it back to the foundling home. And so as he takes the baby and he's going out the door, and that's when Alice says to the detective, "Excuse me, officer, you might want to have this. This is for the baby or whatever." And that's what just breaks your heart when
Yeah.
you see her do that. And when Ralph says, when Alice says incredulously, "How are we going to take care of a baby? We don't make much money here." And Ralph says, "I'll drive the bus at night. I'll drive during the day and I'll drive at night. I'll do anything to make extra money for the." And it's the first time really that it didn't involve a crazy harebrained scheme
Scheme.
to make extra money. It's Ralph desperate to make enough money so that they can both have the baby. And he puts on, in a way, it kind of reminded me of the episode where uh, Ralph brings back the pup that Alice wanted in the apartment. He brings it back to the dog pound,
Right.
and then he
Uh,
falls in love with the dog. Well, he fell in love with the baby much more than he fell in love with the dog in that episode. It's just and I never saw this episode before, and I said I definitely will make a copy of this, and we'll definitely show this. Anyway,
Awesome.
that's in
All
November,
right.
so
So
many
we'll
months away.
we'll remind people as we as we get closer, remind everybody about it. And in the meantime, so it's 7:30 tomorrow, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, and then we're off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Nighty night.